Tech Rabbit here. So I thought I'd introduce how to build a simple web application using Rust. And the way we will do it is that we'll use the Rust's crate management capabilities to import one of the many web application frameworks. In this case I'm going to use the Iron. And Iron is, the reason I'm using Iron is it's pretty much, it's the classic web application framework. It was one of the first, and I know that they built several. There are several other packages available, but I think that Iron is quite straightforward and simple to use. So I think I'll use it in this example. But if you feel free to search. And you'll find very easily, you'll find at least 5 others. So I'm not arguing that Iron is the best. I just think that Iron has a very relatively simplistic interface to use. So that's why I think it's good for this demonstration. So moving on. And if you're interested in setting up the Rust development environment the way I have it, then I've actually added a link to one of the videos that I made on that, so I won't be covering the basics of setting up Rust in the editor environment. So anyway, let's take a little look at the code. We can start with command file where I've added the clean function. So this goes into the crate, and then it says cargo clean, which takes away all the old files and starts from scratch. And then I add the build command, same thing, it goes into the crate and builds it. And then there's a run command that runs it. And then we have one for testing, but there's actually no tests in this code. If you want to see an example of this, then you can go look at my previous video. So we want to use some external crates, so how do we do that? Well, let's actually start by going into the cargo TOML file, and then here you have the this is your my package information, and then you have dependencies. What do you want to be dependent on? So then you say, okay, I want to use Iron, and then you give the version. And then it's also, I know it's dependent on, to be able to build the application, you need MIME. So and then you also give what version you want it to be dependent on. So anyway, first we start by defining that we want to use an external crate, and it's called Iron. And then we'll also be demonstrating, as we move forward, as to how do you actually check what versions of Iron there are available, and then how do you actually upgrade, and how do you know what version you can upgrade. But we will come back to that after we've gone through the code. And then it says extern crate, and then it uses this MIME crate, and in this case the Rust wants to be informed if you're going to use macro definitions that are actually in this crate also, so it needs to know about that. And here it lists what traits you want to use. So we want to use Iron prelude and then all traits. And we also want to use Iron's the trait Iron status. So that means that it implements all the functions required to implement status. And here we have the main. So we'll create a page server, and we'll use a page definition, and we will start up an HTTP server on localhost port 3000. And then this unwrap is just to capture the if it actually fails to start the server, then it will actually process it. We'll process the return value in the correct way. So here we have get form, and here we're just going to create a response that actually doesn't use this request. And here's a new feature of Rust that I didn't describe in my previous videos, that you can actually get rid of it complaining about the unused function parameters if you put an underscore in the name. I know it's going to drive lots of people insane. Yeah, just have to, that's what Rust does. It's a feature of the language. And then here we define the response variable, so we use the let keyword, and then it's mutable, so that means it can change, and then we create a new instance of the response object. And here we start setting it up, so we set mutable status to OK, and then set mutable MIME, so we set the MIME type. And then we actually build the body of the page we want to display. So this is just pure raw. This designates a raw string, and then the raw string ends like that. And then you can just have whatever text, and it doesn't care even if you use special characters. Or, it doesn't consider, for example, it doesn't consider these escape characters or anything. It just takes it as is. So it's a raw, which is quite useful. And I mean, this is just standard HTML, so nothing really. So you give it a title, and then you want it to perform an action, post, and then we have the input fields, and then I've added 2 buttons, which is add and subtract, and then we return the response object. You noticed I made a mistake. I wanted to call the return action should be calculate, and the method. Yeah, the method was correct, so let's post. So let's move on to actually compiling this. So cleaned out the terminals, so we can only have one, and now we run the clean. Already did that, but just to show that it actually cleans out all the files and stuff. I noticed clean wasn't working, and then I noticed that I have changed the edition to 2024. I don't know what my brain was thinking. It was when I was editing the dependencies. This is the edition of the crate like definition version. It's the package version. It's not the version of my own package. I don't know. Forget it. No. So now we have a clean that works. There we go. And as you see, that it removes quite a lot of files. And then why I'm showing you this clean is that if you go and change the package definitions, then basically the only way out is to have a clean solution is that you run clean, and then you run build, and then as you see now it's pulling down all the dependency packages and compiling them and stuff. At least this is my experience so far. And then the next thing to look at is what did I have? Yeah. So as you saw, it pulled down a lot of stuff, and then you'd like to actually, you might want to have a look at what is this stuff after this terminal session started. So you can actually go to cargo lock, and this is automatically generated, and you shouldn't edit this, but here it gives all the packages that have been downloaded, and it's not only the 2 that I listed, of course, because it needs to pull down the whole stack of dependencies. So you see all the different crates that it's pulling down, and then we're talking about this. Where does it find these crates? Then you see that it has this index registry, and I'll just switch to a web browser here and show the what that looks like. And another detail. So here you see this is actually one of the things that can pop up. That you get a warning about a package that contains a feature that may or may not be supported by Rust compiler in the future. And this is, of course, one of the issues that one has with Rust, that Rust is not a 100% stable development environment, so that they haven't promised that everything will survive into the future. I mean, so this is also a thing I'll show you how to actually find out more details about this this failure. So you actually do have a command that you can run. So you can actually run this on. Oh wait, we need to go into the directory first. Into the crate. And then we can run this one. So this actually lists, like, in more detail what was the problem. It will actually show you what source code line is offending, and then in addition to that, it will show you what Rust issue that this is related to if you want to investigate that. And then more important, one of them. Let's see, where was that? Just a sec. It shows you the repository that is actually causing the issue, so you can actually go to the repository, and we'll do that also. So this is good diagnostics. So then, of course, you have to determine, are you going to like upgrade the top level crate you're using, or are you going to downgrade it, or are you going to care about this at all? You have to make some decisions, because this is indicated that some one of these days is going to stop working. So here's I mean, there are other ways to access crate information, and there's utilities and stuff, but this is like the raw way of looking at it. So you can go directly to the crate.io index, and then you basically have different subdirectories for different crates. So there's like list upon list upon list. So it's a little bit of a odd indexing system, but there is also the option to search by crate name. So that makes it a bit easier. So, but I'd just like to show you this. You have actually you have access to the raw repository for the crate index. So I'm just showing you as an example. So that this was the specific crate that we're using, this iron crate, and then I was saying that how do you know what versions are available, and you can just look at this list and you can see here are all the versions, and the latest one is 061. And then we have a look directly at one of the sub crates that the compiler was complaining that might become obsolete, and you can actually get it gives you URL, so as you saw it now, you can get directly to the Git repository, and then you can actually see the whole, like, who's working on it, 7 years ago. You have the source, the normal GitHub stuff. So it might actually help you make a decision on what you would like to do in terms of this issue. So the last step is to actually run the code and see if it works. And before I do that, I'll just show, since I showed you the iron index page, and then you can actually see what version you want to use. So if you want to change the version, then you just go into the cargo terminal, and then you go in here and you can just change the file. You can say 061, But then remember to run clean and then build, because then it will update. And that issue that I showed you where it was warning that this sub create will become possibly obsolete or uncompiling, well, that doesn't disappear. So I won't bother to do the actual changes. So for this demonstration, it's not necessary, but those are the steps you go through if you would like to, because that is obviously what you would probably want to do when you get an example from somewhere that says that these are the dependencies, and then you get these warnings. Then you might want to try the latest and see if you get rid of the warning. So let's start this up. And then it says the warning, and then it actually does hint at that you can actually run the same command that I just showed. And now it's running on this port. So here's the application. 4 input boxes, and add and subtract features. Actually fill in some numbers, and then we say add, and then we notice, oh, it actually doesn't do anything. And those of you that were still awake watching when I was going through the source code probably noticed that there is no code to react to when you actually post from here. So in the next video. So anyway, I hope you liked that demonstration. I'll just have a little bit of a kind of a mini rant comment here at the end. This is the issue when you start doing large developments. Then it's very often you want to pull down packages, and lots of programming environments have the possibility to define some kind of package dependency, and then that actually explodes into a whole load of package dependencies, and then probably it's not as an individual, but as a company entity developer, then you always end up in this problem that, okay, who has the total responsibility for the for the top level functionality you're using? So, and then licensing becomes an issue. Just as a side warning, that there's I think I read in a statistic there's over 3,000 different types and variants of open source and closed source licensing policies. And some of them are, it's very important to notice that not only that they have different levels of restrictivity and different policies related to if you include or don't include, that what is your responsibility to do. Then is the issue is that the policies can be restricted to regions and or so you don't necessarily have worldwide rights when you just download these packages, and some of them might be regional restricted. So it's not all that always easygoing. And then traceability, that do you actually know where the secured source is, and is it secure? Is it watermarked or otherwise controlled? Or when you download the system, the next time you download a lot of stuff you didn't expect to have, and you get your cybersecurity people breathing down your neck. And then maintenance in general, of course, is a big issue, because if you download these, potentially full stack large systems to use in your systems, then who's going to maintain that part of the tree, and who's responsible for it. But anyway, it's cool to do this kind of stuff. At least as a private citizen, as a hobby, it's very nice to be able to download these full things, and a little bit easier in academia. You don't always get a free pass on licensing there either, but you do a little bit more. At least in some world regions and jurisdictions, you're a little bit better protected if you are educational. But yeah. So anyway, the next video will cover the actual handling of the calculation. See you in the next one.